A gale of defection hits the National Assembly as the crisis within their political parties deepens. House of Reps makes a U-turn, fails to override President Buhari's veto on Clause 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act. And later on the program,
it is what it is. We are legislators and the Constitution gave us the powers to do it.
The lawmaker that moved the motion against the President's veto power joins us on the program. You're watching the Hallowed Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adeoye. The All Progressives Congress is worried about a possibility of losing its majority power in the National Assembly if the recent spate of defection continues. The governing party was hit with a wave of defection as some lawmakers jumped ship because of some irreconcilable differences with their party. The national chairman of the APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, visited the National Assembly on a desperate mission to pacify aggrieved lawmakers and save the party from losing the status as majority.
This is a season for all manner of behavior in the political space in the country, and this is not Nigeria is not an exception. In every election year, this kind of substep, give cause for people, stakeholders to sneeze. This is what we're experiencing. Nigeria is no exception, and the APC is no exception. I don't give a damn what's happening in other parties. I care what happens in our party. But you and me know that it's not just the APC that's having this experience, this situation. Because we are the ruling party, yes, our problems are more prominent in the public glare. No reasonable person, no responsible leader will not worry losing one member, not talk of 2 or 3. At the moment, we know we are faced with the stark reality of their problems. And I've committed with my colleagues in the National Working Committee to face the problems squarely and see the problems that are solvable, we'll solve them by the grace of God.
The House of Representatives did not continue with the moves to override Mr. President's veto for failing to assent to Clause 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022, which provides for statutory delegates to participate in the political party primaries. Ben Igbaka raised the constitutional point of order, citing Section 58, subsection 8 of the 1999 Constitution, which empowers the National Assembly to enact laws and also override the President with 2/3 majority of the members vote.
Also concerned that the actions or inaction of Mr. President to perform this constitutional duty is an affront to Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, which empowers the National Assembly to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation or any part thereof. Conscious that Section 58 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, empowers the National Assembly to override the President when he vetoes a bill or fails, refuses, or neglects to act thereto through a 2/3 majority vote. Worried that the continued inaction of the President in either assenting or vetoing the bill has left a lacuna in Nigeria's constitutional democracy, which portends danger to the 2023 electoral process and other subsequent staggered elections of some states, thus leaving the Congress of political parties in the hand of ad hoc delegates to the detriment of statutory delegates. Convinced that a prompt action by the Honorable House to cure the patent constitutional lacuna is imperative by invoking Section 58(5) of the Constitution, which states that where the President withholds his assent and the bill is again passed by each House by 2/3 majority, the bill shall become law and the assent of the President shall not be required. Resolved to 1. Invoke Section 58(5) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended with respect to the bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2022, that is, amendment of Section 84(8) thereof, to allow statutory delegates to participate in political parties, congress, and convention.
But Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila urged Igbaka to formally present a motion in that regard.
And if I may, Honorable Bakba, you moved the motion, and I did say that you should come by way of a motion on notice. If you may, can you read section order 20 or order 12, rule 20 of the rules? You have to bring the bill back for consideration. But how do you bring the bill back was what I was addressing. You have to bring the bill back by way of a substantive motion. And you are now reconsidering it, recommitting it perhaps to the committee of the whole, or in the alternative, you go through the whole process again, first, second, third reading, or you just commit it to the committee of the whole for reconsideration. So you still have to come by way of a substantive motion to bring the bill back, not that you just bring a motion and say, let's override. So I think that, I hope that gives clarity. The bill itself has to be brought back to the House, but it can only be done by way of a substantive motion.
When Ben Igbaka eventually presented the matter through a motion, it was outrightly shut down as the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives refused to even ask for a seconder of the motion. The Deputy Speaker insisted that the motion to override Mr. President's veto was procedurally wrong. Joining me now on the program is the man behind that motion, Honorable Ben Igbaka. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
You're one of those that will not return to the National Assembly. What is the implication of the failure of a significant number of lawmakers to return to the National Assembly?
Well, I've said it somewhere today. A good president and executive without a strategic legislature is almost dead on arrival. We complement each other. It's not that we have to fight at all times, but the Constitution makes it impossible for us to agree at all times. And where there's disagreement, there's always a cure, which is the rule of law and the Constitution. And if that turnover, the turnover that we're expecting, come to play, it means that a lot of experienced people will be here, and the quality of our debate and quality of understanding of the legislative business will definitely be bad. But it is what it is. It has happened. But going forward, because we still have other elections coming, are we going to leave them in the hands of ad hoc delegates that doesn't know the people, who does not know the pedigree of persons, does not know who it should be? They come, their own is cash and carry, and even after cashing, they don't carry. They will wait for their owners to direct them as to who to vote for. I think that is not democracy. That is not what we're looking for. People should work hard. People in office, people elected or appointed should work hard so that the people can see the need for them to return.
The perception is that the legislators should have themselves to blame for not including statutory delegates in the Electoral Act. What is your response to this?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. What we tend to do was actually to remove ambiguity of any sort, to clear the air so that people don't misunderstand it. It's been there. So the parties would have gone ahead to conduct their primaries the way they did it in 2019, because it has always been there. But because some persons seem to have what they will gain from it, they harp on it, they created the frenzy and the tension, and the parties were afraid. We don't want to do anything that will bring, tomorrow they'll say we don't have candidates because the process of electing our candidates was flawed with certain discrepancies in the act. So that was why they did it, but ordinarily it was not really necessary.
Let's talk about your motion to override Mr. President's veto. Are you comfortable with the decision of the Deputy Speaker to step down the motion?
What he said, he wanted it to come through as a bill, that the Rules and Business Committee should bring it as a bill for reconsideration. And I've gone ahead to meet with the chairman as directed by the presiding officer. And I'm sure in no distance time it will come so that we can all decide if it's possible to override Mr. President, or maybe the President can come up with something before then.
What do you stand to gain by pushing this motion?
The motion actually stands to cure the defects, the seeming defect. Actually, it's not a defect because that same provision is what is in the Electoral Act 2010. But the National Assembly, in their wisdom, decided to make room for clarity so that there won't be any form of ambiguity in Section 84(8), which we amended the other time to reflect that statutory delegates be mentioned to participate in congresses and primaries. But somehow Mr. President did not sign. And having done our job, I think it will be tried if we go ahead and applying Section 58(5) of the Constitution so that we can pass the amendment without the President's assent. And that is what it should be. I don't know why Nigerians seem to be looking at overriding the President's assent as if it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a constitutional provision. It's the rule of law. It's nothing big. It's not that. It's not an affront. It's not something that should cause any form of friction. It is what it is. We are legislators, and the Constitution gave us the powers to do it. So I don't seem to understand. But I see if you listen the last time, Mr. Speaker gave a directive, and today the Deputy Speaker who presided today gave a different directive. So I am surprised as to what is happening, but Nigerians can see that we're making efforts to correct the wrongs in the society, and we must continue to do it. And we're not here to represent an individual or a political party. We are here to represent Nigerians, and this is where we seek the support of Nigerians.
Do you intend to present this motion properly in subsequent plenary? Yes,
I immediately met with the chairman, Rules and Business, and that it should be the one, because naturally what I expected Mr. Speaker to do today is to mandate the chairman, Rules and Business, to list the particular bill for consideration and passage, and announce to members so that members can be there, because the bill has passed. It has passed the normal cycle of legislative business. But now that it's coming, that's why we're going to pass it. There's going to be a fourth reading to that same bill, because we are taking the third reading again. So that means we are invoking Section 58(5) of the Constitution, and it's going to come for overriding, and that demands two-thirds majority of the members of the House. They must announce, they must tell, they must publicize it so that members can be available and do it the way it ought to be done. Because from the last time Mr. Speaker said we can't do it by voice vote, it has to be done by our electronic voting system. So members should be around, and I know a lot of members came to the chambers today in preparation for this exercise, but it was aborted.
The President still has not communicated to the National Assembly his reasons for withholding assent. Say something about his silence.
Nigerians should ask the question and get the answer. That's why I said Nigerians should always be by us when we have to deal with issues like this. There's a breach of the Constitution and there's a cure. And that cure will definitely come to pass. The presiding officer, the Deputy Speaker, I don't say he has not done anything. That is the presiding officer. He has done what he, as the presiding officer, he must take a decision. He has taken a decision, and he has given a leeway as to how to handle it. So we have to follow that. I just pray that, because we have two presiding officers, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, I just pray that Mr. Speaker will not come again and give us another direction. But for this time, but we'll continue, like I said.
We also have on the program Peter Akpatasin, Deputy Leader of the House of Representatives. Congratulations on your victory at the party primary.
Thank you very much.
How easy was it for you?
Well, it was quite tough because, as you know, a lot of people are not interested in politics, particularly with the level of, maturity that we have attained, politically. And so the contest was very competitive, but experience counts. For those of us who have been here for a long time, at least we have gathered experience and we know how to go about the game. And so tough as it was quite competitive, and a lot of people showed interest, though we had to confront a situation that was a bit challenging, in the sense that the party is experimenting, a model that is completely new, which is the use of ad hoc delegates. What my party has been used to from the beginning is either the use of the party structure from wards to LGA to state excos, or direct primaries. But this time around, the party adopted the use of ad hoc delegates, which is completely novel, in our own, party. It posed actually a lot of challenges.
The Speaker, upon resumption, condemned the indirect system of primary election. Allegation of monetization characterized the exercise. Is the House now justified by its stance before now that only direct primaries be allowed?
There is this subtle tension between the legislature and the executive, particularly the governors. I think some of them feel that as chief executives of their states and party leaders in the states, they should be in a position to dictate whatever happens, who gets whatever. And anybody who seems to challenge that, irrespective of whether that position is democratic or not, they see such person as challenging their authority, and legislators don't see it that way. We believe that parties should be democratic, and the tenets of democracy must reflect in everything that we do, in all our practices. And one of it is the right to freely choose who represents you. We believe that the people should be given the right to select, to choose who their representatives will be. And with the new practice of electing ad hoc delegates few weeks to election, I think a lot of the players, not just the governors this time, were desperate to ensure that they get the delegates on their side. Now, the governors actually have the machineries to coerce the system to produce their own, desired results. That was a big problem everywhere. Fortunately for me, we don't have that problem in my state because our governor is not in our party. But then, even at that, there was still, a lot of pressure because each aspirant, as it then was interested in having a chunk of the delegates.
Recall that indirect system has been in use all this while too. So what changed?
This new recruitment, strategy is going to be a major problem to democratic advancement in this country. Sincerely speaking, you mentioned monetization just now. The rate of spending, when you have to fight to enthrone new delegates, few weeks to election, and thereafter you have to get the same delegates to vote for you, is something totally, unacceptable. It is. I worry for the young ones. I worry for those who have not been in the system, who are planning to come into the system. Actually, we need to grow people, and I think it is important that the system is such that makes provision for the not too rich to come in and participate at the appropriate time. But if we continue with this highly monetized, practice where delegates are, elected few weeks to the election, and then, people begin to throw money around, it's going to turn to a situation in which only the rich will be able to win election in this country. If that is the case, then we will be in trouble as a people. Because most of the people who are actually having the interests of the masses at heart are not necessarily people with big pockets. Most big pocket people are capitalists whose interest is how to make money, not how to represent people, not how to protect the less privileged in the society.
And how do we describe the recruitment process as far as the primary elections were concerned?
I think what affected the primaries is not whether the president signed that document or not. As far as I'm concerned, it made no difference because there is nothing in the law as it is currently that forbids the use of statutory delegates. It's still this, the struggle for power between those who are looking at this from legislative perspective and the power holders at the level of executive, who believe that if statutory delegates are used, most of them are legislators, both at state level and federal level. Some people just, decided that, no, this will not happen. The truth of the matter is that my party constitution allows the use of statutory delegate. There is nowhere in the current law that prohibits it. So nothing stopped us from using it, except that some people didn't want it used for reasons that we all know.
Can this National Assembly actually override Mr. President's veto?
I think, yes, it's good for people to exercise their, rights on the floor of the House, actually. But personally, I don't think overriding the president on this issue is necessary. We had other issues that we would have thought of doing that, and we never did. So this is not an issue that should attract, such attention. As far as I'm concerned, it has not changed anything. I said it before, and I'm repeating it again. The fact that Mr. President did not sign that bill into law does not stop any party from using statutory delegates.
So what happened?
Because, as I told you, some people believe that most statutory delegates are legislators. Yes, and it's a big number. And in some parties, actually, some of them felt that the legislators were, a vast majority of the legislators were supporting a particular candidate. In order for that candidate not to win, they had to fight to ensure that, statutory delegates were not used. The law did not support that. It is not as a matter of law. It is just, their own desire to ensure that, statutory delegates don't vote so that a particular candidate don't enjoy a chunk of those votes. But God has his own plan, and by the grace of God, the results are quite clear.
The battle ahead will be tough, knowing that your party is not in control of your state. How sure are you of victory in the long run?
Well, I am not sure that I'm prepared to go into the issue of the loss of my party in the 2020 election, because there are a lot of factors, that worked against us. And I doubt if we actually lost that election fair and square. You understand me? I can tell you for free that APC is still the party to beat in my state. APC is still the most popular party in my state.
Insecurity remains a talking point in Nigeria. 3 months on, some victims of the train attack are still in captivity. There was the Owo attack too, and many more. Is it right to say your party is finding it difficult to keep its promise of securing citizens from enemies within and outside?
The situation has been there for quite some time. Government after government have made efforts to arrest the situation, but unfortunately it's getting worse, like it's happening in some other countries too. It's a shame actually for anybody that we are where we are today security-wise, but I want us to leave party out of this, because it is not a matter of party, it's a total state failure. The thing is very, unfortunate. I want to believe that there is need for us to redouble efforts. I think that there should be a frontal, attack on these criminals. I think there's so much that we can do more than is currently happening. To be very honest, it's painful that we always have to watch our backs anywhere you are going, wherever you are going in this country. people are even adopted right in their own homes and all that. It's a situation that nobody will appreciate at all. It's unfortunate, and I think there's need for the government to do more. That's it.
So you do not agree that APC failed in that way?
What I'm saying is that it shouldn't be just APC issue as such. It is a national disaster that we should all accept. Being that APC is a party in power, APC cannot absolve itself of the unfortunate situation.
That is the program this week. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can watch this episode on TVC News YouTube channel. Also subscribe, like and share. You can also see a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. My name is Tijesu Adiri. Thank you for watching. See you next time.